Welcome to another triathlon video. In today's video, I'll go through some of the 2021 goals that I have for this year and taking some of the lessons I learned from 2020. And in summary, I've got 5 plus. Yeah, there's more than 5 goals on here, but we'll get to that in a little bit of a moment. But I'll walk through with some of my thoughts for what I want to go and take into 2021. And we'll start off with the first one, which is get even more sleep. I never get enough sleep, and I'm pretty sure that most folks that are listening in here are probably all saying the same thing in terms of there's always no such thing as not enough sleep, right? There's always opportunities to get even more sleep. And what happened in 2019 was I was averaging a little bit under 6.5 hours of sleep, mainly because of all the work that I was doing. And as a result, my performance in triathlon kind of suffered. Actually, it really suffered. And 2020 was kind of no different, although I did bump up the hours of sleep from 6.5 to about 7.2, 7.3. I remember showing a little bit of a video on that. And as a result, I was getting a lot better performances, at least from the workouts, and being able to recover a little bit better. But it's still not nearly the amount of sleep that I really want to get or really should be getting. And so my goal with this is going to be getting around 8 hours of sleep in total. So then, with sleep comes the next part, which is mobility. And mobility comes in 3 different fashions or 3 different thoughts that I have. And the first is going to be strength. Strength, not just strength in terms of the power element, but strength in terms of overall fitness and physical ability to do lots of different types of motions. So how do I go in and to not be so linear? And triathlon can be very linear, especially when you're doing very long endurance sessions on the bike trainer, for example. So how do we make sure that we work some of the other joints that you may need to go and recruit and utilize during race day? Because races are often not only just flat. A lot of courses are hilly, sometimes they go into some soft trail runs. I mean, you're going to be using a lot of different joints that you probably wouldn't normally experience if you were just running only on pavement, for example. The next part is with flexibility. And flexibility is not just doing those yoga poses and all that, but flexibility includes just general stretching, general movement of joints to make sure that you're able to access a full different range of motions, and being able to also be flexible from a mindset standpoint, and that I'll get into a little bit later. Power is something that I started experimenting in 2019 and started really hitting the weights. And having good, short, powerful intervals with your weights and adding in that power weight training can really make a huge difference, not just in terms of the strength part of it, but also to the ultimate goal of having the sustainability. How do we make sure that we're athletes not just for the next 2 or 3 years to train at a championship level, but how can we be doing this sport 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and still be able to enjoy the sport and to enjoy general fitness and endurance sport and exercise? And how do we make sure that we can continue to do that day in, day out without wearing ourselves out, but more build the foundation so that we can enjoy these activities when we may not be at the age to go and compete for championships, which I'll discuss in a little bit. The third element is race nutrition optimization. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that struggles at this. I'm sure that a lot of folks that are on this channel also struggle with this, and you are not alone. I struggle a lot with getting enough calories, and especially off the bike. It just frustrates me to no avail to have an excellent bike performance. And be able to have the swim of my life as well. And then I go into the run and blah, I run out of energy and I just don't have anything to go by. And here I am scrambling at aid stations to just literally swallow or get anything into my body, any sort of calories. And part of this race nutrition optimization is to really figure out what are the right calories and the right timing of when to put those calories in, especially during those long bike rides and during race day on the bike, how you can get all those calories in such that when you get to the run, you're not fatigued and completely out of glycogen stores, which is the main cause for a lot of folks that struggle on the run. It's not necessarily because of the lack of fitness or the lack of being able to do that run speed, but it's usually about how much energy and how much stores do you have available in the tank at the end that you could go out and go and execute a well done run, because your body is going to need that extra glycogen at some point. And I'm certainly up to ideas, so if you've got ideas for what you guys and gals eat on the bike, hey, post it down in the comments section below, and I'd love to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Let's have a discussion on that, and I might post more videos on race nutrition in the future on this. The fourth goal here is kind of a summary for the three of these, and it's really about how do I put myself in the position to be competitive, to race for championship slots. And there's lots of uncertainties, especially at the time of the recording of this video. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. We still got COVID around, and just today I got notification of Oceanside, and it just wrote it here, where it was originally going to happen in March, but now it's in October. So is this really realistic? Are there really going to be races to be able to be competitive and potentially qualify for world championships? That may not be realistic. But I put this on here is because I want to put myself in a position to where I'll be ready to compete, right? For me, being able to compete and be in the thick of it is what really drives and motivates me to do the sport. I love being in the thick of competition. I may not win all the time, but to be able to go out there, and I'm sure a lot of folks that are triathletes, and really even anyone competing in endurance sport, a lot of times it's really just that feeling of being out there with people and racing and just challenging themselves to see where they could go. It's just really inspiring there. And you could see countless numbers of videos to where folks are just trying to give it their best to just even finish some of these races, let alone get to the start line. And there's always so many different stories. And probably with anything with this goal, it's going to always be about the journey. It's never about just the race. It's about all of the preparation, all the sacrifice, all of the planning that comes in, and the execution of that plan leading up to race day. That I always find very fascinating and I have a lot of passion and energy about that, and listening to all the different stories. And from that passion leads to this fifth goal of mentoring and coaching. And originally I thought about starting a coaching business last year, but because of COVID, of course the demand kind of went down, and I kind of took a little bit of a step back, and I realized that there was so much to learn. And even now, even over the past 6 years now that I've been doing triathlon, there's still so much that I don't know. And quite frankly, it's really about knowledge sharing, where knowledge shared is knowledge that is gained. And it becomes recursive, because when you share the knowledge, at some point you're going to get feedback whether you're right or you're wrong. And quite honestly, there is going to be the rights and the wrongs. And without understanding and without really listening to that, how do you go and gain it? And so when you go and start to listen to other folks about what their thoughts are, then that only helps this sport. That only helps to garner different ideas. and to start thinking about things from a different perspective. And by listening and being able to communicate with that, really just makes the whole sport of triathlon a lot more whole. And as part of this knowledge sharing and gaining, ultimately, we're all in this sport because, one, we enjoy it, and two, when we enjoy it, we want to tell other people about it and maybe inspire someone else to go and write their own story, to really just be their best and being able to perform at the highest level in physical and endurance sport. And that's really what this channel is about on YouTube, and what I intend to message to others as well is, how do we bring the best out of people, and how do we motivate them to and challenge them that what they thought was impossible was indeed possible, and they can reach further than that. And how can we use sport as a lever to go and tap that potential? And with that, that's not the only goals. Triathlon can be a lifestyle, but triathlon isn't all of life. And so I have other goals. I have other goals that are not really triathlon related. And the fifth one, I'll let you folks go and read into what that means. But I will say, if there was anything that I've learned in this pandemic, it's that we as human beings are social creatures. And when there is some sort of interaction, whether it be face-to-face or being there in person, there's just something special about that. And it's kind of hard to describe in words here, but really with the actions of being able to meet people and to be able to interact with them in person is just so important. And of course, during the pandemic, it's really tough. A lot of Zoom calls or a lot of WebEx, a lot of Google Meetup calls, those help a lot in terms of being able to see someone's physical face features and voice and all that. But of course, that doesn't really play as much into the realm of having that social interaction that we as humans are. And I'm no different. And I will admit the pandemic has had some tough times for a lot of people, and myself included. And there were times where I really wish I was with not just friends and family, but maybe for, who knows, maybe a special someone. So, wink, wink. I'll leave that for folks to go and interpret that for how they want. But I'll say that I'm open. I'll leave it there. Number 6. So, number 6 is really personal, and I get very passionate about this. And that's about being more active on social media. So, as an Asian American, something that this pandemic has really taught me, and really this is really more of a cultural thing, is we as Asian Americans tend to hold back our emotions and thoughts. More the thoughts than the emotions. For cultural reasons, for professional reasons, and there are times where you do need to hold back, but there are other times where that silence is really loud, and the pandemic has really exacerbated that. And I could get into a whole video on a whole host of social issues that have gone on because of the pandemic that has really highlighted the disparities and inequalities and inequities that we have in our society today. And one thing that I want to use YouTube as a platform is to have a voice and to be able to speak freely about thoughts and ideas, not just with triathlon, but with what's really happening out in society, especially from the point of as an Asian American. Now, I probably won't be able to represent all of the different views, but to at least be able to have a voice at the table, to me, I think is really important to have. And my goal is on YouTube is to at least have one video per week. And I know I do one video per week based on all the different training sessions. So I host rides on Tuesday evenings, alternating between 5 and 6 p.m.s for different groups. And the focus is with polarized training. And so feel free to go and check out links down below about additional videos to that. But again, but I do want to post at least one video a week, not just only for that, but also for other topics, which I'll get into, like with some of the previous goals that I had. There's certainly opportunities for more videos there. And I'd love to hear what you guys want to talk about. And I want to interact with folks because, again, as part of knowledge sharing, with sharing of knowledge is gaining of knowledge for all of us. And there's no more active platform right now than YouTube, per se, in terms of videos. Although we have TikTok, we have Instagram videos. But I choose YouTube mainly because it has a pretty stable base. But again, we want to be more active in this space. Why not have your voice be heard? Why not voice an opinion? And it's okay if you're wrong. Let's have the forum, let's have the discussions, and be able to talk about things with constructive criticism. So how do we go and do that? And that's the 7th goal. And that's to keep an open and honest mindset and to maintain things in perspective. To be able to listen from one perspective and one mindset to hear out what their thoughts and opinions are. What are the drivers to those opinions? What are the facts behind those opinions? How to listen and be able to be open and honest even with yourself. And how do we go and break through some of the cultural norms that may hinder us as athletes and as people in general? So how do we go and make sure that we have that open and honest mindset and keep that honest mindset through all of the different goals that we have or that we would like to go and achieve? And so that's a summary of kind of what I want to really focus in on 2021. Now, that was a lot to talk through, but I'd be very interested to hear your comments and suggestions down in the comments box below. And that being stated, so going back in summary, in triathlon, it's about sleep, mobility, nutrition, getting to championships level, listening as part of mentoring and coaching, and of course, intersocial relationships with the community. And with that, that's a wrap for the goals that I have for 2021. They may seem a little bit vague, but I intended to be a little bit vague because there's going to be things that aren't in my control. But there you have it. And so if you do like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you really like any of this content or any of the other videos that I post, then please hit that subscribe. And if you want to keep up to date with all the different content that I'll be uploading throughout this entire year, go and hit that bell button for me, and that'll help to make this channel grow, and you'll get all the notifications of when I go and upload content. And with that, I will see you in the next video.